Hello everybody out there in the bookverse, it's Stephanie, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in January. So I feel like January was a fairly decent reading month for me. I think I got through 8 books, so it wasn't as good as I would have liked, but it wasn't horrible. I read a lot towards the beginning of the month, and I thought I was going to have this amazing reading month. I was just knocking books out and killing it, and then I hit a book that really slowed me down. And after that, I went on vacation, and then my husband got sick and I was taking care of him. So it wasn't as wonderful as I expected, but I feel like 8 is still a good, decent number. I'm not mad about that. I think it's pretty good. If you're new to my channel, hey, welcome. Thank you so much for watching my videos. If you'd like to see more from me, definitely hit the subscribe button down below and the bell icon so you'll be notified when I post new content. But let's jump into these books because I have some thoughts about some of them. I'm going to be starting with the 2 audiobooks that I listened to this month. The first one that I finished was Where the Crawdads Sing. This is an adult contemporary book. It follows a young girl named Kaya from when she is very young up through until she's an adult, and it goes through her life, and that is really the main focus of this book is Kaya and her life and everything that she is going through. And something that is very important within this is that a man from the town that she lives near was murdered, and Kaya is accused of this murder. Now, Kaya grew up in the marshes that are around this town, and she kind of lives in the marsh. They call her the marsh girl. She is not really involved with the town at all. Like, being around people gives her a lot of anxiety and things, and so she is definitely kind of discriminated against, and they are not very nice to her because of this, and they think she is not smart and that she's below them, and so she's really not treated very well throughout this book. I did enjoy it for the most part. I'm not a huge fan of contemporary books that are just kind of going along, following this everyday life, not super exciting, nothing happening, that type of thing. And it was a very steady, one level type book, it felt like to me. I didn't feel like anything was kind of a high point or the climax or anything super exciting going on besides kind of this trial for this murder. There were parts of it that I found pretty exciting, but other than that, I didn't love it too much just because I wasn't super, like, I was invested in it and I wanted to know what happened with her life, but I wasn't so invested that I needed to keep reading, needed to keep listening and find out what happens. I liked Kaya as a character. I thought she was very well developed and she was very interesting and different than other characters that I've read about. And I absolutely loved her friend Tate. He was my favorite character. I loved her friend Jumpin' as well. He was so cute and so sweet. So there were definitely things about this book that I really enjoyed, and I think it was very well written. I will say that I think the audio narrator was not to my liking so much, and that might have affected my enjoyment of this book as well. So that definitely could have something to do with it. I wouldn't recommend the audiobook if you're going to read this book, but maybe that's just me. I did, and I think I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. It was good, but I didn't love it as much as so many other people have. I have just heard this book blow up, and it's everywhere. I mean, they have special editions of it at Barnes & Noble, and it's always on the table for the must-read books. I just didn't love it as much as I thought I would, but it was still pretty good. The next audiobook that I listened to was Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This is the first book in her Wayward Children series, which is pretty much about these children who have gone through portal doors into different worlds, kind of like Alice in Wonderland or Narnia or things along those lines, but they're all different. And they have come back to this world and they just don't want to be here, and they're not dealing with being back in the normal world with their families. And so a woman has formed a school where these people can go, these children can go, and she helps them to adjust to their lives back in the normal world. This one was really interesting. I didn't expect so many things to happen in it, considering how short it is. And there was murder, there was intrigue, there was getting to know so many different characters. There were a lot of characters introduced, I feel, for such a short book, but I think it was really fairly well done. The characters that we got invested in and really learned a lot about, I feel like those ones were well developed and you got to know them well and you got pretty invested in those characters and their lives and their stories and everything that they were going through, trying to be okay with being back here, but also some of them wouldn't give up hope that they would go back to their other world, because sometimes people did. So it was definitely a different dynamic to it than like Narnia-esque books where they remember it fondly, but they've kind of accepted it. It's kind of reminds me of, if you've read, why is that shaking? If you've read The Magicians by Lev Grossman, it talks about one of the boys that goes to a different portal world and he won't accept that he can't go back to it because he's gotten too old, and like he somehow forces his way back to it. So that's what it kind of reminded me of. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I feel like I wanted it to be a little bit longer for the story to really have a little more depth to it. But I also have heard that if you continue with this series, you will love the first book more as you keep going. So I'm definitely going to be continuing on with this series because I really did enjoy it. Okay, the first physical book that I read, these I'm going to, I think, do in order of my enjoyment. So I will do my least favorite to most favorite for this month. My least favorite book was Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. I am very disappointed that I didn't like this book because I follow Tricia on Instagram and I've like commented on some of her stuff and I really like her and she seems super cool. So I was like, I should read her book. That'd be awesome. I just really did not enjoy it. I think I ended up giving it 2 stars. I felt like the main character was super annoying and she thought she was so bad and so awesome, but she never really did anything throughout the book. Like, she seemed kind of like she was okay with just killing people and that was fine, which I guess she is a pirate, but I don't know. I was a little shocked at how like heartless she seemed, which is kind of interesting. I was expecting this book to be an exciting story about this female pirate who has a pretty much all female crew and they're out having adventures and stuff, and that's not really what it was. The entire time this girl is held captive on a different ship. So I didn't really find that very interesting, and also I feel like she was really dumb for a lot of the parts. It's like she would just say things and I'm like, what are you doing? Stop talking. You're going, like, this is going to end badly for you. And it did. And I was right. And the twist that came, I actually already saw that coming and I guessed it. So it really wasn't that interesting to me. And the whole point of her being on the ship is she is supposed to be finding this map. And really her time trying to find this map doesn't seem that prominent, I guess you could say. She just is mostly chatting with this guy. It's very romance focused. It's really, really focused on the romance between her and this dude who is interrogating her and trying to figure out where her father, the Pirate King, has his little hideaway. So I didn't love it. I hear some people absolutely do and they think it's great. It's a very quick read though, which is why I did end up finishing it because it was so short and so easy to just get through. But yeah, I did not love this book. Couldn't get into it. The next book on this list is one of the 2 classics that I read this month, and that is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I don't feel like I really need to tell you what Peter Pan is about because it's a classic and everyone has read it, but I honestly wanted to love it and I did at first. I felt like I started out really enjoying it and thinking it was going to be amazing, and it was so fun and whimsical, and Peter was a little bit darker and a little more bad than the Peter Pan in the Disney movie, which I didn't have a problem with. I thought it was really fun and very intriguing, but there was parts that were just, I didn't love. Like one part that absolutely, I feel like this one line dropped this book an entire star for me just because I could not get over it. But at one point, the pirates are tying up Wendy and the pirate tying her up is like, I'll let you go if you'll be my mother. And I'm like, oh, that was real weird. I didn't like that at all. So yeah, that line was just terrible to me. Other than that, I mean, like, it was good. It was cute and whimsical and a fun read, and it was super short as well. So if you want to give kind of middle grade classics a try, this is a good one to jump into. It's not too hard to read, and it's not hard for you to like understand it. So this is a nice classic to start with. The next classic that I read is not short at all, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I read this book because my husband wanted to go to the movie, and I have a thing with not going to movies before I read books. So I decided that I would read it, and I didn't realize this book is this long when I committed to this. It's over 500 pages, and I started out absolutely loving it. This is about 4 young women, the March sisters, and they are growing up in America, I believe somewhere in Massachusetts during the Civil War period, so sometime in the 1860s. Their father has gone off to war, and they are at home with their mother. And it really just kind of follows their lives as they go along doing their thing. They have this neighbor who becomes one of their best friends. His name is Laurie, and he's really this kind of cute, rebellious, like kind of quirky guy, and I really like him a lot. Jo is one of the more well-known characters in this book. She is the second oldest sister, and she is definitely a tomboy. She loves to write. She wants to be a published author. She doesn't like doing the girly things, and I thought that she was really interesting and good. I loved at the beginning. I felt like the first half of the book I was really into it, and I was loving the characters, and I felt really invested in their lives, but it was just too long for me. It kept going on, and it wasn't really that exciting, and I didn't feel like there was really leading up to a lot of stuff. Even though a lot of things did happen, it didn't seem like we were kind of going towards things. It's broken up in such a way that the chapters seem like separate stories almost. Like, here's a story, and here's a story, and here's a story, and here's a story, instead of all the chapters running together and just being a story. I'm sure that was done on purpose. It just wasn't something that I particularly enjoyed myself. It was definitely different than I was expecting, and I think I might do just a focused review on this because the movie has come out and people are very interested in it right now, so I might talk a little bit more about this book in a different video because I definitely have some thoughts on it that I think are kind of unpopular. The next thing I read on this list is a graphic novel, and that is Descender. It is by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. I honestly absolutely loved this. I thought it was very well done. I was very intrigued in this world. It is about a young AI, well, I guess I don't know how old he is, but it's about an AI who is a little boy, and he is made to be the companion to another young boy. They're kind of like brothers-esque in this situation, but this world is attacked by these other AIs who come and just kind of blast at the planets, and so his wiring is the most similar to them that they can find, and so they're trying to hunt down this little robot so they can figure out how they can beat these other bigger ones. I loved this little tiny AI. He is so cute. I love him. He's so adorable. He's super, super sweet. And I think the story is really intriguing. The twist I didn't see coming, and I thought that was super awesome. And I definitely want to jump into the second book in this series. This is a really well-loved series on BookTube, actually. So I want to continue with it for sure. And I think this is one I'm actually going to buy the comics of because I want to keep them. The last 2 books on my list of books that I read in January are in the series, first being The Dream Thieves, and second, actually, this is the second book in the series, The Dream Thieves. This is the third, Blue Lily, Lily Blue. They are by Maggie Stiefvater, and they are in the Raven cycle. So the first book is The Raven Boys in that series. This continues to follow the Raven Boys and Blue in their journey to find Glendower, the Welsh king that is buried along this ley line, and to get the reward or wish that he is going to grant them. This one focuses very heavily on Ronan and his family, who have dream powers. I don't necessarily need to say more than that because I don't want to spoil anything in the first one, but I feel like that's not necessarily a spoiler because everyone knows that. They've come out with a whole series about his family now. But This one I didn't love as much as the first one. I feel like I didn't like one of the characters in it, the character that is very closely associated with Ronan, so you'll know if you've read the book. I didn't really enjoy his character, and I didn't think that his addition to the story was, I didn't know why it was there the way it was. I didn't understand where he came from, like what's going on with him, how all of this came to be. I feel like he was just kind of dropped there, and it was like, well, that was convenient, wasn't it? So I didn't quite love this one as much, but I really still enjoyed Gansey and Blue. Those are my two favorite characters in it, and I do love Blue's family. I think they're so like unique and they're different, and these characters are very well developed. So I did still like it. I gave it 4 stars, and I obviously am continuing with the series. I've already read the 3rd one, but it wasn't as good as the first one in my opinion. The 3rd one, however, Blue Lily, Lily Blue, was amazing. I absolutely love this book. I feel like the first half of it was good and I was enjoying it, but then the second half came and it was just like boom, 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 dropping bombs everywhere, and it was, there were twists, there were unexpected things that happened, and I was so invested in this book. I was reading on an airplane while I was flying to vacation in Puerto Rico, and it was just so exciting. I couldn't put it down. I wanted to finish it, and yes, I definitely love this book. I can't really tell you what it's about because I don't want to spoil the other books, but yeah. This one I think is my favorite one in the series so far, potentially. I gave it 5 stars. I gave the first one 5 stars as well, though, so we'll see. I'm excited to read the 4th one and to see how it concludes. I'm really hoping that the 4th one doesn't ruin the series for me, because that happens occasionally, but I think it'll be great. And that is it for the books that I read in January. Let me know down below if you have read any of these books and your opinions on them. And as always, if you like this, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button down below and the bell icon so you'll be notified when I post new content. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.